Howdy, folks. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you can hear me. I had issues with my mic earlier. Let's put the chat up. I need to know if this is coming in. Let's see here. Lag here. Show me if you like. Yeah, there's a definite lag here between what I'm saying and how it's coming up on the screen. My internet is slow, so I apologize. That's weird. It's not letting me share the link for some strange reason. Why is that? There we go. That was weird. Didn't let me share it the first time. Maybe it changed. I don't know. Let me see. I need to check my sound to see if this is actually working. Let's see. Let me share it the first time. Maybe. Okay, that seems to be working. Since I'm talking to myself right now. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm still kind of new to StreamYard. Okay. All right, a few sales coming in. I try and answer any offers nearly immediately, because I notice that people lose interest after they move on from that screen. So if I can counter immediately, I will. Showing this, actually, this is a really cool shirt. It's a vintage TWA Airline flight vest, I think, or maybe it's for the people that work on like the runway. I found this a couple, actually more like 6 to 9 months ago. I love old vintage stuff with old vintage tags and old company names that are defunct, like TWA. Because you just can't get them anywhere else, but it will sit. So that's what happened with this one. The vests are cool because they are very light, even though they look big a lot of times. This is only 11 ounces, so it can go first class mail. And it's going California to California. Okay, that's I need to get new labels. These labels feel like they're old. I'm gonna have to tape over this. Yep. Usually there's a better chance of responding favorably to your offer if you do it right away. I usually don't even get that many offers, but respond right away. Yeah. No, I'm okay. Okay. Hey there, Louie. I am. I've never done one of these before. This is more for me, so I don't sit on my ass and not do anything. Hope you're having a good day too, man. This is kind of accountability for me, just to make sure I keep moving. No worries. Don't feel like you have to do anything. I'm just glad you stopped by. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I'm probably gonna jump off in about 15 minutes, half an hour anyway, because I need to go do a few other things. But I should have started this earlier. I was sitting in here for the last 3 hours. I just didn't turn on the camera. I just figured, what the heck. I'll do this again next week, though. Maybe I'll actually advertise it then. Whenever other people are not on, I guess. Let's see here. Hey there, man. How's it going? Yeah, I can kind of hear you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me lower my volume so I think my TV's on in the background.
No worries.
Makes a lot of noise. I'll keep you company. You know, it's there when you this way. I'll just, you keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. I'm actually listening a little bit too, so kind of doing 5 things at once and printing out.
Yes, I kind of hear something. I don't know if it's background or it's kind of a. Yeah.
Come back in.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Oh, said I'll be on a bit. I know. Okay. Let's see how.
I don't know if that made any difference.
Let's see if that's any better. I can hear you.
Can you hear a little bit better? That's weird. You know, I can try my phone if you want.
All right. I think I'm back.
Can you hear okay?
I don't know. Is that me? It might be me. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. It might be there. I'm going to try my phone.
Okay.
I just had to try my phone, although it sucks the battery out of my phone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's perfect now, man. How's it going,
I
man?
don't know. It may be that connection between the StreamYard on my computer and who knows? I don't know.
To be honest, nearly every time I log on the StreamYard, I have to log on, log off, and log back on because they either can't hear me or see me or both. You just kind of.
Gotcha.
So how's it going, man?
I'm happy to be breathing. Just I need to get stuff listing like you. It's like you know, I just want to get in that gear and stuff.
Yeah.
Keep working, man. We'll talk. We'll talk. Just keep. This is what we do when we do lives. We go at it. You can as long as you can hear me, you know, you can just talk back. That's what like, you know. Have you seen Eric OBX Picker do a live?
I have actually. That's kind of like I saw that him do that first. I mean, I'm sure there's other people that do it too. And
Okay.
then
Sorry.
back in the day, it wasn't really like a listing thing. It was more like people were talking about like their just their daily things on daily. What's his name? Daily Chris. He was on your show, Chris.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Daily Refinement? Yeah, he's awesome.
yeah, but that was more of like listing. It was more like just everyone's talking about their daily process.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, but that's motivating too, and if you can, the main thing is if you can list and then kind of get a little motivated, by like just hanging out with somebody while just jabbering. Sometimes it gets quiet, but that's cool too.
Yeah, exactly. He has everything down to the minute. Like,
I think it's a psychological thing for resellers. It's not to get into like psychology, but just in the sense that, we do this alone. So it's kind of nice, kind of like knowing somebody's in the next room and then like, hey, what do you do about this? You start talking or.
it's weird because for years I was doing this and I never had any cameras around because I had a shipping store too. And
Oh,
then
okay.
I would be sitting in the back, my little area, just doing whatever. I'm not talking to anybody for like 12 hours, and I kind of got used to it.
That's the difference then, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but yeah.
And there's a difference between solitude and loneliness, like there's times I don't mind doing it alone and this and that, but then sometimes it's not that you're lonely, but like, it gets kind of annoying. Like I don't know. Sometimes it's like this, maybe in the back of your subconscious, you're like, okay, I got to multitask because I'm, I don't want to fall behind because I'm talking, but at the same time, you need that camaraderie and you kind of just,
Because I remember, like, I would go to these conference things. It's all shipping store owners. Most of them single, like, one person doing the entire thing. They'd all talk about the same thing, like, well, this is nice that you have to talk about packing boxes with, nobody else.
Yeah, you're like, oh God, there's other people out there like me.
And the funny thing was I'm talking about 2004 or 5, I thought about starting a YouTube channel, just putting a camera in the store. And then I went to the franchise people there because it was a franchise, and they shot it down big time. They said, no, YouTube was really new then. They said they didn't know the legal ramifications of somebody walking in. And,
it always comes down to that. Yeah, when it's corporate, it's always about legal.
Yeah. So that never happened. And then within like a year or two, I saw like 100 other people do it with different, pizza stores, and even like Craigslist Hunter, all that kind of stuff. To be honest, mine probably wouldn't have lasted. I don't know what I would have done. But.
Well, yeah, it depends on what their intention and how do they motivate, and also like, how do you market something like that?
I mean, I started to have like ads on like, oh, come to the store. Here's the address. It was really boring. Nobody would have got that. So I don't think it would have lasted.
It makes you wonder, though. Yeah. Isn't that funny, though?
You never know. It is. Because with me, it's staying consistent. That's why I need this kind of thing. Making sure that I continue whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it takes a really, it takes an innovator and an entrepreneur to kind of like hash it out and talk it over, kind of like what we're doing. Sometimes that's what it takes, kicking the soccer ball back and forth with another individual or like-minded person that, you don't have to be in the same field, but you can kind of like, well, have you thought about it from this perspective or this? And then, really generate that idea of like, I could do something with this, it's like kind of like catching up with technology and then realizing that's not only good for that, we can do this with it, I guess it kind of reminds me of like when I lived in New York City. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh. No, go ahead. Take your thought. Well, actually, I was just going to say that there's so many times with, like, when I had that shipping store that we had opportunities to do things and I didn't know there are opportunities till like 5 or 10 years later. The biggest one was like, we're just like a boring independent shipping store, nothing fancy at all. But we had
a franchise.
It was a franchise. I won't give out the name only because I'll tell you because they weren't happy that I left.
No. You don't need to know. I don't need to know the name.
Yeah, no. But long story short, Amazon approached us. I want to.
Wow, Amazon approached. Wow. I think you froze up, buddy. Uh-oh. I think we got internet connection issues here.
Okay, sorry, that was me again. My lovely internet.
That's okay. Just the last thing I heard you is you were approached by the big corporate Amazonians.
Oh yes. I mean, not I shouldn't say approach. Basically, you know, have you ever seen those boxes that they have like at Safeway, 7-Eleven, the Amazon? I forget what they call them now. Basically, you go there, you pick up a package if you don't have like a mailbox or something.
Right.
So they wanted to put those in our stores. And I thought that's awesome because, you know, we're nothing and they're a behemoth. So they did a test on like 2 or 3 stores. We're in Northern California. And then they came to our corporate and they said, you know what, can we do this in like all the Northern California stores?
Yep.
And of course, corporate, stupid them, they said, yeah, but you're going to have to pay us. A free thing. Amazon wasn't going to charge us, but they were going to take up space. And then their corporate's whole thing is, well, space costs money. Blah. This is 2008, mind you.
It's interesting because you got 2 sides of the corporate atmosphere. One is, listen, we're doing you a service. Of course, Amazon would say that, but in a way they are. They're driving business there.
Totally. I mean, and I actually got an Amazon person calling me on the phone. They were being nice. And then I was telling, I forget, somebody else, my brother, about this. He said, you should be biting their arm off to let them stay in your store. And that's what everyone told me.
Well, in retrospect, Mo, that's just the case. But then again, you don't know these things at the time. But also, you didn't have complete control. I understand, you know, with all due respect.
Yeah, I had very low. I could change the sign on my store. So,
but that's the interesting thing. And this was, like you said, 15 years ago.
2008, so about 12 years ago, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That shows how far advanced they were. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that they were really, they sent us this whole pamphlet. It had step-by-step how to install it, how we don't even have to install Wi-Fi. They're going to have Wi-Fi 4, all these things. And the square footage, not just the square footage, to the inch that they were going to take up in the store. I
guarantee you, Amazon, in planning this, like two or 3 years before, already knew that there was going to be resistance. Yeah. They knew, because Jeff Bezos, I mean, he's all about strategy. He's not, you know, he's about the kill. He's about the checkmate. You know, he's about how do we get there? Because, and the sad thing is not so much that if he got that to work, it's how that's leading to something else bigger he wants.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is, like this, like the little, I guess, franchise corporation was pretty small, only about 300 stores nationwide. So what happened was they said they asked Amazon for money. Amazon said no, and then an actual store owner walked the Amazon salesperson that had come up to his store out of the store. That's what did it. Because of that, all of a sudden, all calls stopped. Everything stopped because they walked that guy out of the store. And then our corporate was actually backpedaling to try and get a deal. They actually offered Amazon money, and they weren't even taking the calls. That was it. Within a week, it was in 7-Eleven and Safeway and all these other places.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, they were thinking about this a long time ago. Like, you know, they don't put their eggs all in one basket. You know,
no, not at all. So, I mean, to be honest, I didn't know what it was at the time.
Here's the thing, and maybe it won't be on a big scale like that, and it won't be on a universal. That, to me, that's very universal what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, to me, they were. You said 8 years ago. They were thinking about it 15, 20 years ago. Trust me. They just, you know, it's just that they finalize it. You know, the way he strategizes. It's crazy. The thing is can you take aspects of your business and do that?
That's true.
You know, and the thing is think about it. So this is what I'm thinking. It's like, I come from a community of like contemplators, and we talk about stuff like, you know, on an esoteric level and spiritual levels and different kind of mindsets. And the whole thing about it is don't just think universally, which is like out there, the big thing. Think internally, which is so you got macrocosm and a microcosm. Yeah. I mean, then you unify the two and you realize there's not much big difference. It's just how your perspective is seeing it, and how you're able to generate, you know, energy out of that use of whatever it is you're trying to do, you know.
Absolutely. And to be honest, that's something I've always struggled with a little bit. Like, to be honest, if I was sitting in that corporate office and Amazon came to me I would probably be the guy that said, you know what, maybe we should be charging for X, Y, Z square footage. Because
Can I tell you what I would have done? I know a lot of people do this in the corporate world. It's sad because I've seen a lot of cannibalizing. Is like, let's say if a business is trying to buy another business, before that even happens, as soon as somebody got the taste of blood, they're like a star, they'll jump ship and go to the other side.
Yeah.
You know, I would have been like, hey, you know what? I agree with you. I'll be your inside guy,
Yeah.
but you know what? Hire me. You know, like get me out of here because I see this as a, you know, especially if you find merit in it, not, you know, not to take sides, but you know, it's inevitable. You know, it's like the Borg in Star Trek.
It was funny because this corporation, with this shipping store corporation, was kind of like a lower end, so they would kind of straddle the fence a little bit. They were actually really hands on, especially when it first started. They had a really cool kind of like the CEO. I mean, they had a board that was very strict, but the CEO was an ex-store owner, and a lot of the people that worked in like HR, only like 5 people. They were all very hands-on, but it changed. I want to say 06, 07, because I was there starting 04.
Especially when it franchises too.
Mm-hmm. And then we saw an explosion. I was like store like under 500, and then within 5 years, they were like 1,200, 1,300. But then my 08, 09, all of a sudden it started to drop under 1,000, under 700, under 600, big time. And people were walking away. And these are people that had deals, like, you know, 5-10 year deals, I'm assuming. And they were just walking away, like closing the doors and running.
Yeah, you're always going to have somebody that's along those lines, you know, that's not going to contribute. Then you're going to have the ones that they don't care, you know, and it's much like you. It sounds like you've done management, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was my main management. I was in IT before that for years, pretty much. That's my background, and then I got really bored of that. So basically, I had 2 hits. One is when I got out of college was the first, you know, if people will remember this, the 2000, the whole tech drop. Yeah, that was when around the time I was a couple of years into working at tech companies. So within about 5 years, I jumped ship. So by 04,
I've seen those fluctuations a lot.
Yeah, and then in 08 is when the next one hit. But 08, I was under contract. I couldn't go anywhere. So I was locked in until basically 2000.
Oh, and they wanted to, trust me, there's aspects where they want you like that so they can prime you. And if you're a good candidate, then they'll hire you where they're saving money, you know. And, you know, they'll entice you with what they call insurance.
Yep. So, yeah, I've kind of been all over. But I haven't really, I mean, I feel like I haven't worked a 9-to-5 since I was 24. Okay. A long time ago.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, that's the kind of world. It's intriguing, you know. It's like I had a friend that was like saying, "Don't you think we're being led to this way?" And I'm like, I'm not into all that conspiracy theory, you know, whatever the take is. I mean, whether it was planted or whether just this is a natural discourse, the way the universe, you know, and the world is turning. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, we've had pandemics, we've had things like this, and he's like, well, how do you know that, you know? When did we start using screens like on phones? Like 2000s, right?
Yeah, yeah.
By 2005, it was already taken off, you know?
Yeah,
and the whole idea is like, think about it. That's only 10, 15 years ago. And now we're forced to do it, you know? Yeah. But to the point where it's like, it was almost like a training of the cattle. So how good could this work for corporate? I mean, it's perfect. You know, it's like, you know, we're kind of forced in this predicament. Not in a way where, and we have a lot of people that still whine about it, like, oh, I hate this, I hate this. There's the pros and the cons, you know, about it. And so it's like, it doesn't matter. The thing is we are here now. It's very Orwellian, you know. It's
it totally is, actually. It's funny that you said that. I was watching a movie I was watching a documentary yesterday. I don't know if you heard of Icarus. It was on
wait, slow down. What were you watching? Say it again slowly.
Icarus, I think it's called. It's about like the whole, I guess, like doping scene in the U.S. and world biking. Like,
but it's a documentary, right?
Yes.
And okay. I do know about it. Yeah. And I know the metaphor Icarus. I mean, I know about is it a Greek mythology Icarus? Where
Exactly. And the
Go
funny
ahead.
thing,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
in 1980, you were talking about very Orwellian. The guy that was the head of like the Russian doping, like WADA, I guess the whole organization
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Reading 1984, and he even shows his copy of it in there when they're interviewing him. So I mean, yeah, it's funny you said that.
It's crazy. No, but I mean, like, it's not. I mean, I didn't. It's not my. I'm not the only one who thinks it too. I'm sure there's a lot. Some people may. Just what shades of gray do they think it is? Is it overly extreme? I was forced to read that book in school. And in some ways, I loved it, and then I remember watching the movie and enjoying it better in some ways. But it's scary to think, because I mean, I was in high school when it actually turned 1984. And our teachers were screaming, "You need to read this book," and we were like, "Yeah, that'll never happen. They're not going to put cameras on every corner. They're not, we're not going to be talking into screens to enter a doorway. We're not going to communicate with each other through some cyber whatever it is. It's like, come on." And like, fast forward.
Like you're saying, people have been thinking it forever. If you look at any old the original Star Trek TV show.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah.
How many things they've taken from that? I mean, like, what's that? Demolition Man. I know it's kind of a creepy thing, but he uses like.
I love the flip phone idea. People are like that. Motorola.
It's never gonna happen.
Well, you saw the documentary on that about somebody did like a PBS special or one of those things where the sci-fi translation between what was in sci-fi in writing, not just Star Trek, but like others about these ideas. So and then they would actually try to translate it into science talk, which was like physics and things like that. And it's like, well, it's plausible because some of this stuff already translated, maybe a little different.
I mean, maybe the numbers are off, but the idea is there, and multiple people are thinking about it.
Most definitely. I mean, I tend to concur. So I'm going to have to be a little clever here because I'm using the phone. I usually use that to scan, and that's what sometimes I'm kind of lazy. I'll save a draft and then go back on my computer, but I use it to take my pictures. So right now I'm going to make a bunch of drafts while I'm on the phone because that's what I use to make my photos, and then I transfer it back into the PC. So it's all good. Look at this heavy book. I can't even. This thing is probably got to be about 7 or 8 pounds. This thing is heavy. Listen to this. Could you hear that?
Get somebody out with that book.
This thing is huge. It's a Civil War book. I don't know why I bought it, but I got it for 20 cents. It's one of those things.
I think that's why you got it right there.
Yeah. I'm preaching to the choir.
I have so much stuff that I bought, and then I go back and I'll say, why did I buy that?
I want to say something, but I don't want to come off as kind of bragging or anything. It's actually, I'm kind of embarrassed. It's like I got so much stuff. I need to kill through a couple of death piles. It's embarrassing.
I mean, to be honest, people are thinking, especially now that we're all kind of home when it's colder and COVID and everything, you find all that stuff. So.
You want to hear something? I was talking, and I may get you in on this conversation if you're interested in the not too distant future. It may happen in weeks. It may happen in a couple of months. I keep bumping the date, but I have this transatlantic dialogue that I'm going to have. And there's one guy, he's from UK, who said, we should do this. Why don't we have these conversations? Because we're both we don't have a language barrier. So, it's like, if you go in Europe, then you better have somebody that may translate German or French or Spanish. And I thought, I said, I can't wait to the day here. Now, talk about future. I said it now, and I guarantee you one of the YouTube bots is recording everything we're saying. We're going to get to a point where you're going to go on to this Zoom, this StreamYard, or this Melon, or whatever it is, and it doesn't matter who you talk to, it's automatically translated. Think about that. Oh, you froze up, I think.
Okay, that was hilarious because it was as soon as you said, I think somebody watching us or something like that, my internet went down.
Okay, so I'll recap in a nutshell. Like
Okay.
whether it's Zoom, YouTube, or you know about Melon, right? Or your
Yeah.
YouTube is giving you hell. You keep chopping
It is.
up a little. It might be my phone too, because my phone's whenever I go on it kind of choppy. But so all I was trying to say was
It's
I
my,
could see where the translators are gonna just we won't need anybody. Like I'm looking at you, and let's say you speak a different language or dialect, and it's just everything's gonna come across. I mean,
they
you know,
have that on sidewalks in Japan, I've heard, like barcodes, or I'm not sure what they are, but you just scan it and it has different phrases. So whatever, like at restaurants and like I don't know if that way
it's
you.
virtually the same thing. Yeah. And
So,
I suspect it'll be a time delay at first.
oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, eventually this is going to be like, I mean, learning a second language in high school will not be. It won't be done the same way, I guess.
Well, the whole reason I brought this up, Mo, was so when I do this talk, and so when I have a talk, I want to have an intention of as to what is the intention for having a dialogue. Like, are we here just? I mean, some of it is, yeah, we want this camaraderie. We want to get past like this like we started the dialogue. Like, there's a little bit of loneliness there, and we have something to say. Well, then let's have a good discussion. You know, it's like sit around, have a beer, and talk.
Yeah.
But imagine if we can once we start doing this, we can talk about these ideas with. We can start with transatlantic and then we can go into other categories, and and maybe the persons will unfortunately have to speak English, but we could talk to Asia, we could talk to Russia, we could talk to I already have contacts in Australia. That would be more Atlantic. But I guess my concept is we're getting to a point where once these technologies, see, this is that forward thinking I was talking about with Amazon and stuff, is once we get to that point, we're already global. I mean, everything's going to have to unify at one point. It's going to be very, I mean, that's kind of scary if you think about it, but.
That is, I mean, we are. I mean, we could be anywhere in any part of the world right now talking, having the same discussion right now. So, I mean.
And people
plus,
are.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is real quick, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, is that, but how do we have this conversation as resellers to go ahead and be forward and thinking, and let's start, if they're going to do this to us anyway, how do we get to the edge and make policy? How do we get to the forefront of it? How do we get ahead of the wagon and make sure that this is not going to work against us? You know what I mean?
No, I see what you're saying. Because
I mean,
just coming from like the tech world, they don't really like groups like that. That's more of a, I guess, I deal with a lot of shipping companies like UPS, FedEx, obviously UPS, big union. I'm not talking about necessarily.
Oh yeah, logistics, all logistics. Yeah.
Having a voice is a tough thing because they'll see you coming a mile away.
Well, and they're gonna hear us, and like I said, I really don't doubt it. My friend, he's a little out there. Like he thinks, well, the whole reason for YouTube is to scan these ideas ahead of time.
Okay.
Not they're like, I'm like, well, I mean, it's already happening with Amazon. You don't think face recognition and like and Google's already and Amazon's already listening to every single second of our day if you have one of those units in the house. I mean, the computers are doing it.
Oh yeah.
If you got go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Amazon, they're the biggest information company in the world, easily. That's their. People may not think it. They're not selling you goods. They're trying to figure out what you like so they can sell you more goods. They don't really care about all this. Like they'll give you the Echo for free, right? They want to see what you buy. They want to see how you maneuver during the day, what you look at, all that kind of stuff. They're all doing it. You're not the only one.
It's not a secret. And go ahead.
Scam likely.
What's that?
Scam likely. I get those way
What's
too
that?
much. Like on your cell phone, it'll say scam likely, or if the cell phone company suspects it's just a scam call.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I was going to ask you, Mo, if you haven't seen it, go ahead. There's a gentleman by the name of Buffalo Picker who is strictly Amazon. Like he's really good at his game, and he knows, he calls it the game. He's like, I'm there for the game, but he says they're strict on their rules, and I get it, but it's also a control measure. You know what I mean? Like they make you think they'll give you the crumbs, and
Yeah.
those who do good and follow their rules, good boy, here's more crumbs. You know, but you're working. You're enslaved in a way by their rules. But the whole point, and he was blown away. I already knew it, but like when I watched it, I didn't realize he was saying it was on the the PBS show called Frontline.
Yeah.
So did you see this one already? It's called Jeff Bezos or something, and Amazon Empire. Just type in YouTube Jeff Bezos Amazon Empire, and that you.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. I mean, I don't know if you've been on Amazon or around them for very long, but I remember when I first started selling on it, I think it was 2014. They actually, their web actually had regular YouTubers, and I'm not talking about big YouTubers, just a random guy, I can't remember his name, on the front page, just because he was talking about FBA. They were also giving out free FBA month. Like I got my first 3 months for free.
Wow.
This is not 20 years ago. This is 2014.
And that's just it. They're like, that's like free advertisement. But go ahead. What happened?
So then after that, I think they cut off the free months. They submit. I think it was still $40 back then, $40 a month, whatever it is. And then after that, you notice they started with all the different restrictions. Like I've never been able to sell DVDs, for example.
You were a guinea pig all along.
Yeah. So then I remember I talked to people and I said, oh, you can't sell DVDs. And by 2015, nobody could that wasn't already doing it. And then by 2016, they cut off all the other, and then they had the brand restrictions. And we all know what's, so basically what they do, I see them as the best information company in the world. They are. We're the lab rats. It's their experiment. They're the doctors in the white suits, the white lab rats. And
that's a good way to look at it. That's even the people selling the stuff are still lab rats.
Oh,
they're, the information's there because they want all your medical information. They want everything about us. I mean, this guy is Lex Luthor, if you think about it.
I mean, they even wanted to do, I don't know if they did it, but there were reports about them doing their own vaccine for COVID. And I was thinking, really? I mean, I don't know if it was helping with it or actually developing it or what the details were, but you can see the full circle because for example, their whole thing, because shipping, I know shipping really well. So back in the day, they didn't have any of this, what they have now. They're all warehouses where they have their own delivery and all that. That's huge.
Okay.
They only worked with UPS. Then they brought on FedEx so they could compete with each other price-wise. Then they dropped FedEx. Then they brought FedEx back. So, and the rumor is they want to get rid of them 100% sooner or later. They've also applied, this is 2 years ago, they applied for their own maritime license. So they want to have their own ships, their own shipping, because I don't know who they're using now. I'm guessing the big boys or the container ships. They want to have their own. They have
whatever. The logistics is so. They were in the logistic games probably shortly after they got into the book games. Trust me, he was there. Because when you see like now, what was it like? When did they start using all their Amazon vans? 10 years ago? I mean, they were on it.
I'd probably say 10 years ago,
And maybe we didn't even know, like they were still like they're doing now, like these hidden white vans that were just delivering. I mean,
a random, picked location centrally in the country so they could do a little test.
And at least testers,
So now what their whole thing is with buying up shopping mall spaces, because those are, their shopping malls are dying, unfortunately. So they're the only ones who can come in there. Because I've heard that shopping malls were turning to elementary schools and high schools because they needed just someone to pay them something for that land before it got closed. So now Amazon, I think it was in Chicago. Maybe I'm wrong about this. They bought and this mall was sitting there. It's not even owned by anybody now. I don't know if they bought it or they're about to buy it. And that's going to be one of their big central hubs. And they already have 50 central hubs at this point. But this is their expansion. They go in, they get things at the best price possible. And if they can't get it, they'll get two people to compete to give them.
Yeah. How much of that documentary did you watch of the Frontline?
Bits of it on YouTube, so I probably didn't watch the whole thing. Because knowing me, I'll just watch a little bit and then I'll move on.
Did you get to where they're already like he's part of the government, like as a contractor?
Don't think so, but I've read that though, and I've also.
I would sit through and like while you're listing one day, put it on, and like maybe skip to if you know you really remember like, but make sure watch that part. It is. I mean, I know Frontline. Some people are like that's too damn liberal, and it's and I'm like, well, maybe it is, but I'll tell you what, it's guaranteed to be the most balanced report because they'll tell you both sides, whether you want to hear it or not. And but even then, it's still information, and try to dispute the fact. It's like I'm not saying that's the only source, but it's like it's incredible. It's like and I take all news with a grain of salt. Even then, I don't like news.
To be honest, I listen to everything. Don't necessarily believe everything. You just listen though. Have an open ear, have an open mind.
And then when you see it happen, you go, well, I was warned.
Because I mean, that's where isn't Amazon? I don't know if it was their headquarters or something they built in West Virginia or Virginia, across the water from DC.
Okay. They had one there, and then there was the last one they tried to put in like Queens, New York, or somewhere in New York, and about like a little before COVID or something, and then they were like, we don't want you here, and they were like protests, and there was the politics, and the politics wasn't just money, it was how they're treating their employees, and and so it was like forget it. And all of a sudden they came back to Austin, Texas, where I'm at, and it's like, oh, it's scary because there's already one here in the Metroplex.
Austin, Texas in 10 years is going to be the central, it already is central, but the most important city in the entire country, I would say.
It is the most important central, right next to Denver. And logistic wise, when Denver goes down, they'll need to reroute it again. So, I mean, we're not that far south, you know what I mean? Like for logistic wise, and it's internationally, we're perfect,
I can see that.
It's
a mix of people, mix of tech companies coming in there. I don't know how many of I have a lot of older uncles and stuff. They moved. I want to say 2000. That whole crash, 2000, moved from like.
Can I tell you something? I grew up in Silicon Valley as a kid. I saw it give birth.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
Scary.
I mean, I was still, I didn't really have. I had like a. It was funny. The startup that I worked for, they used to make. They called them a set-top box. Basically, it was like a TR, ran the internet, had this giant remote. I mean, the size of my keyboard remote. And the whole thing was you put it on top of your TV, and it's great. I mean, I'm talking about 1999 to 2001, right in there. And yeah, they burned through, I think, 200 million.
Wow.
In those 2 or 3 years, because they had a parent company that made like microchips or something like that. That was they were doing work.
The only reason I knew is I was out of California by the 90s.
Okay.
And I moved to New York. But I moved to New York and I was in the investment industry, and they were trying to get me to get my Series 7, what was it, Series 7, or I can't remember the number, but it's a series license you have to have in order to be an investment broker.
Yeah.
But they didn't want me to be an investment broker. They wanted me so they can throw liability on me in case something screws up, And so I would never get that license. And I was in accounting, auditing, and document production, and they quickly changed the department from compliance. And guess what? All of a sudden it took over and it became legal department.
Gotcha.
And I was watching like in the early 2000s going, what the hell is going on? And we were merging with big companies. I worked for a division of Citibank.
Okay.
But it was the CIS, Citibank Investment Services. And quickly I've seen them gulp up like all the major banks and stuff like that. And it was right around 2001, like when all that stuff went down. I was there when 9/11 happened. It was crazy stuff. And they call her attorney general, which is the highest lawyer you can have. Our attorney general for Citigroup. Guess who it was? You know the gentleman that wrote Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton?
Michael Crichton, yeah.
It was the sister, Kimberly Crichton, was the attorney general.
That's so weird.
I mean, very intelligent family, very very intellectual.
He had a medical background, even Michael Crichton.
And she was the only one that gave me a raise, and she was a nice lady. And I would talk to her, but she was very, standoffish. But once in a while, if like she was getting tea or something, I might exchange a couple of words and stuff. And it was she looked remarkably like her brother, because I used to watch him on Charlie Rose.
Okay.
When that was a thing. And it was interesting because watching this happen, I was just like, I see the monumentalness of like how persistent they were to ask you to invest in stocks in technology.
Oh yeah.
And coming from San Jose, California, which is the birthplace of all that, and I knew it was already in Texas, and I knew they were looking for divisions of like different places because it was dying down, because property is crazy. They bought my grandmother's farm just so they can, that place was a boom town. It was crazy. So just watching this development, it didn't surprise me when they said buy Amazon stock, buy Amazon stock. I mean, if I had Amazon stock back in 2005 or something, can you imagine?
Oh man, that would have split. So, yeah, you would be sitting on some beach somewhere. I mean, I know some people that have it, but they didn't get into it that early.
It split so many times. It split,
I remember before Amazon, they would always talk about Microsoft. Oh, if you got into Microsoft early, the secretaries at Microsoft are millionaires now, that type of stuff.
They were in terms of technology, they were like, get Google. I remember when Google was only $50 a stock.
I remember Facebook was 19. I mean, not that it's crazy Amazon prices now, but remember when they got hit, they had, this is, I don't know, 5 years ago, and they were really doing poorly, like social media wise everyone thought, okay, are they going to last? And then who was it that came in? Oh my goodness. I'm blanking on it. What's his name? He's like the third richest guy in the world.
You're talking about the Microsoft guy?
No, right below him. He's older. I can see his face now. I can't. I'm blanking on his name though.
Not Steve Jobs, or what's his name?
Much older. He's only he's investments only.
Oh shoot. Yeah, I'm brain farting too.
Yeah. But he went in deep. It goes down to 18, 19 bucks a share. He goes in and he buys, and then I think everybody else said, "Oh, okay, maybe there's something to this."
You know it when they start merging,
Yeah, it was Warren Buffett.
Oh, are you talking about Buffett?
Yes, Buffett went in, and he's dumped his share since then. Though.
Yeah, he's the one that we love to talk. Resellers love to talk about when it comes to passive income.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say with Buffett. I mean, he's a very pragmatic investor. I mean, I don't think he's a very he doesn't take risks. He takes
because it's political. In politics, it's not about so much. Everybody thinks it's about risk. No, it's calculated risks, but it's about guarantees.
Yeah,
it's about the connections and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and I think that's why all the politicians are there for that reason. I mean, it's like the Senate. Let's just call them statesmen. Doesn't matter if the Congress or the Senate or whatever. Anybody there for that one arduous reason is like, where's my cut in it? Why didn't you tell me Facebook was buying Instagram? Why didn't you tell me Google was buying YouTube? Why didn't you, and if it doesn't go their way, what do? They bring them to Congress. They got to speak in front of a panel.
Yeah.
And, because all these data mining, corporations, we're beyond like our control in some ways. I think it's it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Oh yeah. Have you've seen? I don't know if you've seen or at least heard of what's it? That Netflix documentary that just came out about social media. I don't know what is wrong with me today. That's it.
No, it's okay. Well, I think we're talking so fast, and we're like,
I just saw The Social Dilemma. That's what it's called.
Oh, interesting. You know what? I subscribe to them like once a year when I want to binge watch a bunch of stuff, and then I 2 or 3 months later I get rid of them.
You could probably catch it on YouTube somewhere. If you basically, it's just what we were just talking about. It's them talking about like the big tech companies and how they're data mining. everything, down to the clicks, the time that you spend on stuff.
Wow. Oh, it's all mathematical. It's crazy. It's like the way things are just, you know, we're just constantly being observed, and but the thing is, we're also constantly being manipulated. And you know, we forget there's a lot of marketing involved in it. Maybe it's not the same sale as a marketing strategy, but it's always the ploy of how do you get them to come there? How do you get the cattle to follow through? You know, and I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little extremist.
No, it is at the end of the day. It's how you figure out how to make $1 out of 50 cents, and how to do that again and again, and then do it more efficiently. That's it. I mean, there's nothing more than that. That's never going to change.
Be efficient, but if you're not effective in your efficiency, then there's that counterplay. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Am I being efficient or am I being effective? You can have this effectiveness of a table set up and everything. You could have the space and you got a place for overhead. But if you're not strategical and being effective about how your strategies work, you're never going to go far.
Yeah.
And some people go, well, that's luck. And no, there's not always luck. You know, if you're in there at the right place at the right time in terms of your strategy, that's great. But are you effective to make that deal go through? And that's where the politics gets really a little shady on a bigger scale. But like, let me talk about it on a that's what I'm talking about, macrocosm and like the bigger world, the way it works. And then on a microcosmic level, like for us, here's Mo. Mo goes to this estate sale, garage sale. I don't care, wherever you're able to source.
Yeah.
The thing is, and this is a wonderful world. We're able to source anywhere.
Yeah.
Anytime. You can just be talking to your neighbor and like, hey, I just want to come over and say hi. Are you doing well? Yeah, thank you. Da, 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 da. And you start talking, and you're like, I saw you had that in your garage. Oh, I don't want that piece of crap. You know, I'll buy it off of you, you know, and just by not as a manipulation, just because you're affording yourself, you know, it's an emotional intelligence just to be, you know, on a different level, like kind of, and then like you just make, it's always about connections. So like if you make this connection at a garage sale and the lady's like, hey, this lady gave me, where is this thing? I want to show you. I don't have it with me, but there's these little I mean, there's so many in the market. It's flooded, but there's this one company that made it, and I'm surprised they're not a lot more. They make other materials. It's this special blue plastic, but this one's a rubber cap, and it opens a pill bottle, but it can open a Coke bottle. And it's not.
Okay.
So I'm looking at stuff, and I go, how much do you want for that drill? And she's like, you know, $2. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a Ryobi drill. She's giving it to me for $2.
Nice.
She walked up to me and gives me one of these plastic things here. And I'm like, what is this? She's like, you can have it. And I'm like, okay. Oh, it's a pill bottle. We started talking. And I'm like, right away, I started asking questions. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know somebody I'm going to give this to. Where did you get these? My husband ordered one or two, and they sent him a box. She didn't tell me how. She's like, look at this box. And I look over this box.
No.
I knew there was at least 50 to 100 in there. What I didn't know was, and I'm about to tell you, I went in there and I went, wow, how many do you think you have? And she's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, how much do you want for that box? I go to senior citizen homes. I got family members. And she goes, I stumped her. So I went, let me just change subject. Like, do you think, I said, I think I know somebody that can use some of these, and I would gladly take them off your hand. She's like, yeah, we don't, you know, we're just trying to get rid of all this stuff. And I'm like, what do you think you want for that whole box? She just was dumbfounded with that question. You know, she went from here's one or two, and she said, well, let me, and she walks away and she goes and gives me a bag of them. Yeah. So here, just take a bunch. And I went, thank you so much. Let me give you something. No, we don't care. And I'm like, well, then how many do you have in that box? I went back and asked the question. She's like, I don't know, 100. And I went, I'll give you something for it. Let me give you something for the whole box. And then you don't have to think about it. And I'll take a bunch of other stuff. I'll add it to my pile. By that point, I had a pile. Yeah. And she was like, I don't know. She's like, $5 for the whole box. She looks at her husband. He's like, I don't give a crap, because they got it for free. Yeah. Because they already confessed that information. So it's like, here's that information mining. Yeah. We hear the bigger scale. It's all about how and what you do with information. Are you manipulating them, or are you just making an invite? It's a dance.
Yeah, no, it totally is.
Got home 200 of those things. Over
Nice.
200. I may never sell them. They may sit there, but I put on and I sold 2 for what the price of one was selling. And I said, it's passive income. It may take me 2-3 years. I don't care. I may find something that I can make a lot with, like, okay, there's this and some other elderly, thing. And the thing was, $5. What do you do?
Yeah.
Now, if I have an Amazon account, those things would be flying out the door,
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how you got to do it. And that's smart. You did a wholesale deal, essentially.
And well, because now I'm thinking, like you said, we want to, as resellers, we want to do what we're doing and, have these conversations and hopefully get ahead of the game when it's never easy because we're constantly never sleeping. But, well, that's the case. You go back to Warren. What do you need to do? I only have a few things that are we call replenishable, Well, that's a wholesale replenishable, like Luis that
Yeah.
He's a strategist. People were not talking to this guy when I first came in, not that much. And I'm like, this guy's smart. I watch the way he talk and what do you do? And I'm like, why are people not catching up? And I think it's just because there's so many of us, but he's like a silent tornado. He's just,
there's so many other people just like Luis. And to be honest, I would say that the majority of people, I'm not saying people that will have social media aren't doing well. I'm sure they are. But I'm sure I'm guessing more than 50, 60, 90% you've never heard of, you never will hear of. That they're just plugging away. Maybe they don't even know.
There's this division and it's a balance. And see, he has his priorities straight. So when you had him on, I was like, oh, good, you got my buddy. Let me go watch, And I was like, I already knew what he was going to say in some things. But then again, you always learn. It's like, whoa, it's like, that guy's, it makes me like proud to go, at least, he's affording, me, the privilege of being a friend of him, because it's just good to talk to somebody, but it's great to talk to somebody that's like-minded, that wants to not just do it and work hard. And he's a hard worker. I mean, he's probably one of the hardest workers I've ever met. And I think that's our commonality. It's like, I don't ever see, he never slacks.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of them on there, and they're the quiet types that they don't, because you know what it is? He's got such a focus. It's all about, his family's first.
Yeah.
Business, he's savvy. He's right on it. And then his work ethics is just clean and pure. It's like, and he's, the thing about it is, like, you got a great guy. He's not mischievous. He's not like, I see a lot of YouTubers, and I don't know. They're only, to me, it seems like they're only in it for themselves, especially after talking to them or listening to them. And it's like, I wish you well, all right, you don't want to share, come to me. I'll help you if I can. But if you're just all about yourself, I don't know. I mean, and there's some that are like, they're doing great. They're like in the thousands. We're good. But other people are going to catch up. Or maybe
people are going to see through that. I mean, you can see, people that are just obviously, and I'm not slandering anyone that's,
No, you're not. No, but it's a fact to observe. It's an observation.
Yeah, you can see when people are basically just selling you something, as opposed to maybe they have more knowledge about it. They actually do it for a living and that kind of thing. Yeah. And then they actually care that you. I should be saying the main thing that they care that you actually learn whatever it is they're saying, or they take it in.
And then the fact that, how about this? Let's go a little deeper on a microcosmic level. Is that they care.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't mean that they care about you necessarily, but that they care shows that they do give a shit, and it's like, oh, okay. So like I've talked to this with a couple other YouTubers, and it's like, why do you think we're here? What is our intention? That was my intention when I approached Luis. Let's do a show about mindfulness, because really it's about this. Yeah. About what we're doing. I mean, in the end result, because the more relationships you build, the more healthy you can be and productive.
Yeah.
And if you're healthy and productive, you can help other people be healthy and productive. That to me is a common interest in all spiritual traditions, but in humanity, it's the right thing to do.
It makes you human. I mean, it's just a connection between two people and talking.
Yeah, and if we can, yes, and listening, and learning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of great process shows out there, how-tos, and I think we're more than just that. Like you're saying, how do we grow as a group? We have to see ourselves as regular business, small business, large, but whatever size you are.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm so happy and I'm grateful. I'm filled with gratitude for the people that do make those how-tos, because sometimes I need them,
I do.
But the thing is, that's what they're there for. It's not for the popularity, like, look what I'm doing. I need 100,000 people to watch this how-to video. Well, I don't need to watch it. No disrespect, but it's like I don't want to point fingers, but there's like a lot of bigger names that are out there, and they worked hard to do what they're doing, but like, let's face it, we talked about this. YouTube is a business.
Yep.
And it's like you said, like your example of where you worked at the franchise of the logistics place for packaging, didn't want you to talk about these things. They didn't want you to put it on YouTube. They didn't want you to know what I mean? Like, so there's always going to be the bigger ones in control and ahead of you, but that's okay. You stay in your lane, you do and you'll find that niche, which I think is in your name, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about the differences, the unique qualities that, either you're selling different items or you're talking about them or you're showing them off somehow. That's what I'm all about. The differences. Because
but I'll tell you what, when you bring it back down to a human level, which all corporations, if you watch, especially, here's a perfect time. I'm going to challenge you. If you get stuck watching TV, and you find yourself and you kind of shake out of it for a second, oh shit, this is a commercial, but pay attention. Not saying really like subscribe to the point of view, but watch it conscientiously and kind of go, what are they selling? Oh, we're your best buddy. We're here for you. We, da 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 da. It's like, or we got the best. We care. It's like, what are they really selling? Not the they are selling the product. They need this, but what are they selling? That's sales and marketing strategy 101. Duh.
Yeah.
But
they're not hiding it now these days. Like sorry to cut you off, but I was watching, I think it was Hulu. I had like a free 3-month thing. And they have ads, but they don't just have ads. They ask you which ad you want to watch. Do you like the ad for the pizza guy walking in, or do you want the ad for
doing you a favor? Would you rather watch this? Because you'll follow through with it, or at least the non-conscious sheep will go, oh yeah, I'd rather watch a pizza one than that stupid, whatever, It's clever, isn't it?
I mean, it's funny how marketing, it hasn't really changed, but it has changed a lot, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, their pitches, their costumes are still selling similar snake oil in some ways. Yeah. Do you need it?
Probably not.
I'll walk out of the room. I'll go get me a cold water before I sit through. But that was a good upset. That was a good catch, Mo. That was a really good catch with the Hulu example. That's that's what I meant. Like when not to blow smoke at your butt, but take it as a compliment. But like your Q&A is very, you got a methodology, and everybody will refine the way they do things. Like, I think I'm the worst interviewer. I talk too much.
I wouldn't say that. No, because what you're doing is you're not asking, okay, so what do you like to sell? The very basic, which is great stuff. But after the second or third or fourth interview, because people usually go on more than one show, you want to know more about that. You want to know the second, the third, the follow-up question.
What do they afford us? But I also like to catch them off guard, because they'll go, not to be sly. There is a sly man in me, but it's like, I really want to, like, my whole goal in life is when I hit 40 was like, how can I see things in a new way? I'm tired of what I saw in the 20s. I'm tired of what I saw in the 30s. There's got to be something new here. Well, it's always about perspective, isn't it? Because that's what sales and marketing are trying to do to us. Look at our perspective. It's great. Yeah. No, it's not.
No, I mean, you talk about perspective, because I always, you lean back on your influences. So when I worked at that shipping company, the difference between getting together with those folk, even though they were looking at the same thing, they were still looking for connection, still looking for someone you could talk to about shipping stuff. But
you would like somebody to hear you, right? Because once you do that, if you don't have somebody listening to you, all relationships break down.
Oh yeah, oh totally. And then the funny thing is that but a certain, like the way we talk about, I guess, reselling, the way we talk about the ins and the outs, where you find stuff, why you think about getting stuff, that was never talked to there. No, there was a certain guard up when you talked about certain things. Whenever I went to these like business conferences, it's like we can talk
about why. Because if you knew it all, you'd take off and make your own business that competes with them. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's the truth or not.
No, it is. I mean, that's pretty much everyone's mindset, I'm guessing.
You know, so, at least from corporate.
Yeah. Corporate. I have a million stories about them. How they did try and evolve, though. I don't want to knock them 100%. Like I said, they were kind of a middle of the road company. They did try and evolve.
But they are running a business, and they're like, it's kind of like any other manager. Just do what I say. Don't ask. Just do it. But then you're never going to, you know what? You're never going to build that pyramid because you're going to have people retaliating. I mean, it's just, I'm not saying that they're right, but it's like there's that human nature is to like resist when the pearl is trying to grind. You know, you got that little sand in the oyster. It's going to take a lot of tension.
Totally.
You know? And it's like it's constantly there, you know. But that's where I think mindful people that are conscious about it is like, I need to struggle. Hence, it sounds cliche, but you do need a grind. It's a grind.
You do.
Grind, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, very typical Gary Vee type stuff, but it's true. But I mean,
he gets a little anecdotal for me at times, but
here's the thing about Gary Vee. I like everything he said. He summed up in about 20 seconds. After that, it's fun, it's interesting, he's entertaining.
Yeah.
And he's great, but I wouldn't spend an hour watching him, is my point.
He's a media corporation. He's figured it out. He knows how to pack, and you know what? He's so big that he's got the people strategized, right? Like, okay, you're my man. You take care of this, take care of this, but this is how we're going to do it. It's that same corporate saying, okay, we really don't care about your opinions too much, you know. Okay, just send it in the note box and kind of like, okay, go back and be a manager at the store you're hosting, and it's like, wow, you know, because I'll tell you what, you know, it's like, but that's, you know, that's ongoing thing, you know. Everybody's got a voice. You got your intellectuals that really want to hash it out, and people are afraid of them. You know, it's sad, but it's like, I think, and I don't mean to come off as liberal, but I grew up near the Bay Area, so Berkeley was always that liberal mind thinking, kind of like less, you know, maybe to an extreme. What's that?
I was saying my sister went there, so yeah. I know Berkeley.
Did she go to Berkeley State? Really?
Yeah.
Or she went UC Berkeley.
Yeah, UC Berkeley. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
So yeah. No, sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I'm just rambling. It's tangent talk. You know.
No, I mean, the one thing I would say about Gary Vee, which I like and I also think is overhyped, is that, like, I guess we don't really have like this like kind of reselling community. We don't really have big personalities, which I think is a good thing. We can all be a personality. We can all have our side. So with him going to like a garage sale, like one video a year or something like that, all of a sudden he's like the go-to guy for that. I'm like, it's great that he's doing it. I love that he's put it on a platform for everyone to see. That's awesome.
But I was telling you about the baseball cards alone. No, you weren't the only one telling us. There are other intelligent folks out there. There are people that baseball cards.
Yeah. I remember when I remember when those baseball card shops died, the comic book shops died in like the 93, 94, something like that.
But he's saying that like he was one of the first to say, you know, get back on the wagon. And I'm like, you weren't the only one.
He's great at pointing out trends. I've got to give him to that. He's really on the ball. He knows when things are peaking, but that means somebody else has done something. You know, maybe it was him too, but other people have put in work, put in effort. You've seen the fruits of their labor. And then he sees, okay, you know what? That's a great opportunity once you do that. So that's how I see it when he says something.
And I don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be his disciple.
Yeah.
But I will listen to him. He's got a lot to learn from still. Because when you think you know it all, forget it. So if that's the case and we're always learning, which I hope somebody realizes, because that's the epitome of like being a human. Mm-hmm. And with Gary Vee, like you said, he's reached this plateau. He's all the way up in the ceilings, up there in the rafters.
Yeah.
he gets that. He'll come back down. He'll make a phone call to one individual. He'll, he knows how to bring it back down to humanity level, but he's still a megastar. You know what I mean? In the sense that, I mean, if you subscribe to his point of view and you like follow that entertainment aspect of him being, I don't know, he's a celebrity more if anything. He's not a, like a
I
movie
think he's
star status.
very relatable. So I mean, he's kind of like the every guy, the everyman. He's not 100 years old, and he's not like an athlete or a TV star. So
I just want to know, how long is he going to wear hoodies and try to act, like, hey, what the fuck?
I know, man. I mean, I guess he surrounds himself by, I'm sure he's got all the folks too. But yeah, that's what
he's good.
Gary Vee in 10 years, we'll see. We will see.
He had it's when it becomes so formulaic, you predict it. That's when you're marketing, you kind of go, that's why, like with certain guys that I watch, and I'm like, all right, thank you. I think I've learned enough, and it's like, and I don't mean to be rude, like they call them the godfathers of reselling and stuff. I love all of them, but what new tricks? Everybody, that's sad because they become like a show dog, and they're like, okay, what new do you have? And then they have to perform, and I think that's where the burnout and the stress with being a YouTuber is like. I went, you know what? I'm tired of doing these. Like, I tried one or two, and I'm like, they suck because my editing skills sucks,
Yeah.
Because I don't have the technology worked out. Because I don't, I'm still working on my business, but like my priority is my business right now. And
it's funny that you say that because a year ago I actually I took a contract with a guy, and the job description was basically they were asking someone to streamline their online sales, their eBay, their Amazon, they have like a Shopify store as well. So I went in there and I thought, okay, I can do this. So, I know all this stuff. I'm the greatest, blah, blah, blah. That was my mindset because that's
probably why they hired you, because you have to have that mindset.
But the funny thing is, they were really good listeners, like really good. And I saw why after I sat down with them. I actually worked for them for like 6 months. The wife did the interview, and then she asked me everything. She said very little, very nice, very polite. And then she said, this is what we do. They were like in like water sports. Like they would like bring these things in, and they would sell the whole parts, which I knew nothing about. I just knew about the selling part. I knew nothing about that industry. But then she said, we're going to bring you in here. So long story short, I go in there, and I remember going in there on day one, and then I'm saying all these things that I think we should be doing, this and that. And they're still listening. They're not saying very much. But then they showed me how they were doing everything. And it was kind of, in a sense, you would think of old school now. They were really killing it. And by killing it, I mean 7 figures, 8 figures, something like that. Didn't look like it on paper. Didn't have a giant warehouse. They had a kind of their own it basically looked like a field. They had built their entire inventory into like a makeshift warehouse. They were really doing well. And I kind of got quiet.
Can you say in general what they were selling? Like, what was it? Farming equipment? Or?
Watercraft, like jet skis and water skis. And
high-end stuff. Yeah.
High-end stuff. So they bring this stuff in, and they would do 2 ways. One, it would be selling them outright, or 2, it would be taking the parts. And they knew about all of that. They had this intense background in that entire industry. And that's why I humbled, because I went in there thinking this. And to be honest, they taught me way more. They taught me 99%. I taught them 1%.
I'm glad to hear you realize that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of caught myself speaking halfway through. Once they started showing me their computers and everything, what they're doing, because when I looked at it, I must admit, I was kind of like, this is what, this looks like nothing. It was not nothing. It was something huge. And they're awesome. I think they sold the business. They moved to Hawaii. Super nice people. They're in the industry for years. So my point to all that is, don't judge a book by its cover. And there are people out there you've never heard of. Maybe they don't have a YouTube or whatever, but they're destroying it.
That's what I mean about so within the industry, there's a lot of macrocosms and microcosms, and they all work unifyingly. I mean, you know, when you know, you hear, oh, we're all one. Well, in a way, it is. There's like, you know, you need these subcategories. It's like, you know, it's like when you deplete a forest, you don't know what you just did.
Yeah,
You know,
I didn't
there's
know anything about this. I was walking in there and I'm like, what are these like pipes and little metal doohickeys? And you know, I didn't even know what to call them. I was going through this warehouse that they had built themselves, looking at
Yep.
all these bins of stuff, and I didn't know how to comprehend what I was looking at.
exactly.
They did, and yeah,
But that's what you were selling, and you didn't know it. You know.
yeah,
You know?
totally. It was a fun experience, to be honest, and it was humbling to see that, you know, you don't have to do things the way we are doing them. There's lots of different ways to do it.
Let me ask you this: are you somehow are you able to contact? Are you still in connection with them, or not really anymore?
Not really. They've moved out of state. They like their
Because
whole
them as people, if you were able to somehow reach out to them to like ask simple questions. But remember when we do this?
I did at one point, maybe about 6 months after I left, or I just called them up randomly, and I just, you know, how's it going, this and that. They were on a beach in Hawaii. I kid you not. And that was their plan from day one. They said we have a 1-year plan.
They were there because they maintained their focus and they elevated. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they did everything they, and you know, but I will say this much. Like you said, don't judge, like I agree with you. Like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And sometimes by just me saying this, it is a form of, discernment, you know. And some people say, well, discernment is judgment. I'm like, not exactly. I look at judgment as like, you're just calling it and you're saying it's black and white. To me, there's a shades of gray in it. They are a power couple.
Yeah.
And some people are like, well, you're minimalizing it. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean I understand. They are a power couple, because when you got more than one person working in an industry of reselling, let me tell you, those people kill it. Everybody that I see that are making these like 6 figures, usually power couple.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the listing. I hate it. That's good. I love doing it. Let me do that. Boom.
Yeah.
You know, a husband, wife team, boom, boom, boom. That's ideal, but it's not always the case.
Oh yeah. And their whole thing, within the first week, I could see why they were so successful. Past the knowledge, past the years of experience, unbelievably consistent. Everything a week out. This is what we're going to do on this day. This is how we're going to do it. And the numbers proved why it worked. Unbelievable. I've never seen anybody as consistent ever.
And you were able to like analyze that and discern, go, holy shit, you know, you're like, this is a bigger picture. This is not just a, you know, you thought it was on a microcosmic little, oh, this is all I'm dealing with. No, you're not. This is complex. And these people knew how to run a business, simply put. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not.
To be honest, what they were asking for, they didn't even really need. They were looking to market and like get bigger when they didn't really need to be honest.
But that was a possibility, which got them to Hawaii quicker. But you know, let me ask you this. So on that story, I think it's an incredible story. That's something you should document, just even shorthand, you know, like a paragraph, just so you don't forget certain details, but like names or whatever, but and what you're talking about. But like, if you had to go back, like if you could time travel, like kind of like that example I was giving, like when you go to a garage and you see something, what opportunity would you have taken away now that you're looking back? Like what could you do?
I would have, to be honest, from day one, I would have, because it was like husband and wife, I would have gone out with the husband and say, you know what, I'd love to go out with, I never went out with him on sales calls because I was basically on the marketing side. I said, I would have loved to go out and see you in action, do it, because he would make small deals and giant deals. I'm talking about like 6-figure deals. Buying stuff.
You would have seen how he negotiated. You would have seen everything. You would have seen how closely important that is to marketing. Sales and marketing are married, you know.
Yep. That I didn't do. I didn't go out with him on a call. I didn't. And to be honest, he was kind of winding down at that point as well, because I was there within the last 6.
It may have benefited him, you know. But to think, I mean, we can't. Please don't be in regret. But it's like it's a wonderful thing to go, because if you don't know this, you can share that with somebody else, and they go, "Oh, you're right." Yeah.
And then
maybe,
these guys, just the way they worked, to be honest. Their whole way they lived.
The work ethic.
The work ethic was like literally, I would get there at 9 a.m. He was there from 6 a.m.
Yeah.
every day. 6 a.m. Monday
Probably
through.
earlier on some days too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And then also the way, like, for example, was one time where my daughter was sick, and it was within the first 3 weeks I was there. And I was really nervous. I said, and then I remember placing that call, like, what, it's my daughter's sick. Would it be okay if he cut me off right then. He said, no, family's always first. Don't come back tomorrow. Come back in 2 days. Let's make sure you nip this in the bud right now. So I've never heard anyone just say yes, but you know what? Take 2 days and make sure that everything's okay, because that's the best way.
That's another thing you learned that you didn't, either you knew it or you do know it now. And I know you know it now. What I'm saying is that is what we were talking about, is that connection.
Yeah.
That connection will make a business so supreme. Just understanding that those, like I was talking about Louie, he knows his priorities.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget your priorities. I mean, it's like it's hard, it's like, and sometimes it also can be the opposite too, like where if family's getting in the way and they're wreaking havoc, understand the boundaries in that aspect of it too. But your boundaries to keep those priorities important, I think, were essential. Not only he's not thinking about, oh God, you might leave, or he gave a concern.
Yeah, and genuine, like, we go back to it, genuinely caring about a person he'd known for 2.5 weeks at most. I mean, a lot of bosses or whatever would say, you know what, I'm not sure if you can do it. Who knows what they would say, but.
Can we run a business like that? Can we just be pure, plain and simple? Can we care about somebody still keeping our boundaries, keeping our numbers to ourselves? And, I'm not saying being greedy in terms of giving your effort and whatnot. Like last night, I feel like I'm behind a little bit because I was spending part of the day getting something, but we were doing a benefit for, Jennifer Hayes.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Luis and I sat in the back room for an hour because it got backed up, but like that was a good problem to have because it showed so many people cared and concerned about her. But I'm willing to take a day off and say, you know what, that's okay.
Yeah,
I could be lifting, or I could be doing something to help. I could be maximizing my space, whatever. It's always about the business, but the business will never shut down. What that man told you was take 2 days.
Yeah.
Because you'll never come back there, and you'll never be able to work and focus. And that could have took a week off your mind, and it would have affected his business worse. And maybe he knew that, but you know what I mean? It's always about that rock and how big you're throwing the rock. And are you throwing in a boulder and making the ripples come out, or are you just trying to, like, okay, just let's go from here?
Oh yeah,
he
knew. Yeah, he knew it's all about the relationship. Like the first second I walked in, we actually had a 15-minute conversation about what I did the last 2 days, and he wasn't drilling me, but he was really asking, what happened, she had an allergic reaction. That was it. And then so she broke out in something. So we thought it was something at first. It turned out to be nothing, which is great. But you don't know at that time. But he genuinely asked, and No,
I mean, I'm sure he was a parent. I'm assuming as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm a dad too. I have a daughter. So father to father, you get that. Like when somebody speaks to you on that emotional, they call that emotional intelligence, and that has a lot to do with business. You do that, you're not only going to be superior in your business, you know what I mean? And it's, like I said, it's not about like a strategy where like, oh, I don't want things to. No, it's just like things will run smoother when you do things smooth. It's like have a bit of concern and care in the world. And and it reflected, well, and I think his karma has got him where he's needed to be. He's in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. And you could hear it. I mean, I only heard a couple of times when he took calls in front of me, and then every single time he would always start by asking about them personally. I don't know how he knew personally about, but I guess he does. And then at the end, he would always
build relationships. Yeah.
He would always say something at the end to where they have to get together. They have to, and it didn't sound like kind of like, oh yeah, we should, give me a call later. It was genuinely like he knew their names. He knew something about them. How's your daughter? How's your son? How's your business? Something. And and the entire time it was a certain level to his voice too. He was very aggressive without sounding aggressive, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like,
no, you just, boy, you hit something on the head I was thinking of today. And and you know what the question was? I asked myself, how would you describe yourself? And I had a word. It was like that. It was almost that same definition, but I used a different term. It's sort of aggressive, but mine was something direct. That was like, if somebody had to describe me, it's like I'm uncomfortably direct. That's my definition of myself.
Okay. Well,
that's aggressive.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how I describe myself. I'd say uncomfortable.
What do you think of that? And it's kind of interesting that you said that, because as soon as you said, well, aggressive is not a bad thing.
No, I mean, that's I totally.
Yeah, not
very,
that you were
very aggressive, but not in a way that would intimidate you.
I'm a direct person. I mean, some people they kind of see me and they build a shield and they're like, I don't know. He's a hard one to figure out. But you know what? I'll bend over backwards, and it's like, if I could help somebody, I would love to. Yeah. But I'm also learning the older I get, I can't do everything, and I can't do everything for everybody. But that's okay. You can be like that gentleman. Hey, listen, I do want, just telling somebody you give a shit about them, and like, when can we sit down and have a nice cup of coffee? Because obviously he must have before. And that person goes, yeah, I really, and they may not saying, yeah, I really am looking forward to it. And God, I hope he does. They're thinking of the time when they had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
They're remembering both in the body and and somewhat in the heart and the mind. They're like going, that was nice. I did, because you'll immediately go, I don't want to have a cup of coffee with you. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
But he's like, hey, I can't, I can afford, this time. I would love to. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we all do that. But if he does it in a way, that to me is, I think, some of the most successful businessmen I hear about. And unfortunately, you can't meet everybody and you can't be with everybody. And that, by saying that, that's kind of what you're saying. Is like, I know you're here and I'm there. And but when that time comes, let's meet. Let's do sit down and have a cup of coffee. Because I've met so many people in my life and they're like, yeah, let's go have a beer again. And it's like, we've said this 10 times. When are we going to do it? Yeah. And it's like, and that, I don't take it personally. I just go, okay, you're the person that just redundantly repeats it. But do you mean he meant it, like you said,
I could totally see he meant it just by being around him. So just a people's person, and not so much like kind of, how there's a lot of people that are very confident and, they'll walk up to you, shake your hand, look you straight in the eye, but it doesn't look like they're actually looking at you. If that makes any sense. But yeah, he's like genuinely interested in whatever we're talking about, whether it's a business, day-to-day activities, or what, being interested and caring. Like, I guess we're going back to that again. That's
and listening.
Yeah, listening. Yeah. All things I need to work on. But yeah, I got a good like internship there.
And it sounds more like not only was he listening, but he was hearing what people said. He definitely, I bet you anything you said, and it may have been 2 days ago, he would tell you exactly what you said. So listening and hearing are two different things, but he listened so clearly that he's hearing and that's what a good business person does. It's like, when I was talking to those people at the thing is, and I say this at the risk of sounding immodest, well, pardon me, but
no worries.
I've lately kind of like had this light bulb, like, yeah, why do you doubt yourself? And it's like a gaining of confidence of just restructuring and recalibrating, like, where am I at in my business?
Yeah.
I may not be successful. I may not even be making, 5 figures yet or whatever. But the thing is I'm pushing hard to like learn how to do it better. And am I doing it intentionally? He sounded like a very intentional person. So when I come into a garage sale, it is strategy, but it's like, hey, how you doing? Thank you for this. Oh, why did you get this? Where did this come from? Da, 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 da. And you're talking about the story, but while you're telling the story, you're listening to their story, and you're listening so you can hear it, so that when the negotiation comes back, you're going, yeah, I'd like to give this a better home. I know that it belonged to your grandmother, but I know you're not ready to let it go. If you are, here's my card. And they, well, would you do 60? I'm kind of stuck on the 40, but I'll do 50, and then boom, deal's done. It's like, and it sounds shrewd in a way, like, or like impersonal, but it's just, they understand on one level, and you're letting them know you understand that.
Yeah.
I hear you. I understand why now. I know why you don't want to let it go. And I respect that, but understand I can't, I don't have enough meat on my bone to, make this deal work. Thank you. Take care, But like, and when they have no investment in a box of 200 of these, whatever the hell they are, maybe I'll never do anything with it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't sell them. Maybe I'll trade them off. Maybe they'll go somewhere they need to be, And it's really, it was just, to me, I was more excited to kind of go, oh, you got your confidence back. There it is.
You tuned into them. You figured that out. Because without doing those couple of questions, you wouldn't have figured it out. You wouldn't have found out that they got the items for free.
And I learned, I will say this much. I think I've always known it. And I know that I've always known it, because I've sold since I was probably like 11, 12 at flea markets. I worked for other people that were like, they taught me how not to do things. They taught me how to do things. And they taught me a lot of, like, I can be really good negotiating, like, in terms of like giving good deals or getting a good deal if I want. I also know that there's a humanity level in it, and it goes smoother. And it's sometimes, to me, it's all about, remember we were talking about efficiency? It's about it being expedient. How quick can you get it done? I don't want to sit there and, and I know there's people that want to tell you the life story and they just want to talk. Yeah. And so, and I watch Matt Part-Time Picker, and they're like, this thing, those things were fun back in the day. Ha ha ha. This was my, and he's like, oh, that's, yeah. And he'll turn his back in a polite way of like, kind of like, which is body language saying, okay, I heard what you said because I, ha ha. And he's like, oh, and then he'll change the subjects in basically like redirection of a children's behavior. You go, oh, well, what is that about? Oh, and then they kind of stop the weather talk. Yeah. And I went, that is so clever to see some other reseller do that. But somebody that I now know why his levels are high. Yeah. Like, and he's very humble. He's probably one of the more humble ones I've seen out there. That if he has a video, I almost watch it every time it comes out, or I'll make sure to watch it, And it's like, I don't learn that about from him necessarily about the content of what he's selling. Mm-hmm. I learned how he's doing it. Yeah. It's like we were talking about, are you watching that commercial, Mo? Did you hear what they, and you're like, yep, Watching a good YouTuber is such a joy. Yeah. Because they're giving you that gift if they're honest and they just are being themselves,
I think that's it, right? If you're being yourself, it shows, and especially if you can show kind of empathy, caring, actually understand what you're saying, and you are giving them something that you want to listen to. So all of that wrapped up in a a nice bow. Yeah, that's a good
And if you're the type of person that's coming into it watching you, I'm watching Mo, and I start judging, why does he wear a fucking hat like that? Or whatever, it's like, why is he monotone or something like, not that you are, I'm just saying, like I caught myself a long time ago, like when I meet somebody, it's like, wait a minute, like who's that aspect of me judging that person? It's like, I don't know them, First off, like you said, come in with a little empathy and just like realize. And I'll tell you what, like I could have easily glanced over like Louie, because he's a kind of gentle giant. Yeah. But when I say gentle giant, I don't mean necessarily like his personality. I mean like he's a giant. Like he knows his shit, And it's like, wow, and that's not so much the opportunity that I was, given because I took the time and I didn't judge, but he's given me so much as a friend, and it's just as a person, like you said, it listens, and then like if he knows something, he'll share it, like business wise, he knows what he knows, and I know things, and then sometimes just having somebody to banter that back and forth, it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay, and there's a lot of people here that do that. Now there are the entertainers, and I will never condemn them for it. I'm glad because it makes them happy. That's what they want to do. it either makes them happy because they're trying to get a business and they want to make that money and they want to be Gary Vee. That's good. Do it good, but do it your way. There's an individual I met and he wants to be like this person. I'm like, no, don't be like that person. But I want to be this version of them. I'm like, no, be you. Don't even compare yourself to that person.
That's what I think. That's what I think is actually so interesting about reselling. Because if you were to tell someone, we buy stuff and resell it, but the stuff we buy, the people who are doing there's a million different ways you can go, different directions. Like you said, your show isn't talking about the regular grind. It's talking about the thought process behind the grind.
Yeah. I try. Yeah. Yeah. Are you talking about, I'm sorry, I'm assuming you're talking about the mindful merchants or something?
Yes. So that's my point. Is you're doing something.
I try to stand it on two legs. The one leg is mental strategies. That could be about the business. But the other one is mental well-being. Those are two different. If you take one of those legs out, we're going to fall down.
Yeah. Absolutely. So no, this is good. I for a long time stopped watching any reselling content, to be honest. I actually stopped my channel. I stopped it until this year. It was gone for like 18 months, 2 years. So
that's a long time, bro.
Yeah, I just kind of wasn't that. Plus, I moved, so a lot of life things happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back. No, don't do it, but do it your way. Like we just said, do it Mo's way.
That's what I'm going to be doing. Yeah.
And continue to encourage yourself by not getting discouraged, like you said, by like what you don't want to do, meaning what you may see. Wish some blessings. Go okay, and you don't have to be peculiar about it. Because I see people, but I'll tell you what, they still teach me things. Even everybody here has something to learn, and everybody has something to teach. Even the ones you don't like. Those are the best. That teach you the best, I think. And I don't mean that I'm not trying to be sarcastic, and I'm not, snide. It's like, it's not so much that you're saying I don't want to do that, but it helps you refine like where you want to be, and and that's just it. You just gotta be, like be a presence. I mean, and then also always ask yourself. I think I've said this is what is your real intention for being here? I think you have a good thing like asking people, questions and inviting people, but keep it. I would encourage you. I'm not going to give you advice, but if I had a suggestion, just keep doing it. If it feels good, find people that you really want to talk to, and they don't have to necessarily be resellers. I'm starting to think about maybe inviting people that are similar to our topic, but how they can contribute to resellers. So I want it to be well-rounded. I want it to be people you wouldn't expect. Like I was very privileged that Christopher came on our show. And I'm like, and I acted like I probably was like a little dork going, oh God, he's so big. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's just this cool, calm cucumber like us, and he was very, he was very forthcoming, and and it was a good lesson for me to realize just chill and ask good questions. And that's really it. I think if you continue to have dialogue is like, you want to learn. That's part of the talking.
Yeah.
Maybe and I apologize. I totally distracted you from your listing.
No worries. To be honest, I was gonna make a post office run pretty soon anyway, so you didn't distract me at all.
Let me know when you're ready to cut it off, because I can go on all day. So actually, I need to get back.
Probably in about 5 minutes or so, because that's the.
Oh, good. Right.
It gives me about half an hour before the kids they're in their what do you call it, schooling, so they'll get off.
How old are your kids?
They are 8 and 10, and it's funny. I have to think about that because every time I say it, I say the wrong. No, wait, they're 7 and no, they're not. They're 8 and 10 now. So
yeah, grow up just the two, right?
That's the two.
Yeah. I think Louise has an 8-year-old and then a 6-year-old.
Okay. Yeah. There's so many, I see resellers have obviously kids. I guess I shouldn't be so surprised by that, but yeah.
Well, I mean that they kind of sometimes is but you know what? It's a good, trust me, like right now I'm realizing I went away from reselling for a few years. I thought I needed to go back to corporate, and I was doing some project management contracts, and it reminded me how quick I'm like, go back, run like a dog with a bone, get the hell out of there, because I was like, I was not learning. It was part of Sam's. I did work for Walmart Corporation, but I worked inside of a Sam's Club,
Okay.
and I was like a marketing manager, and I was like, this is not where I want to be. I was
Yeah.
not happy, you know.
It's that
So I
different.
got under.
It's funny you've gone through that because I've gone through that too, where you're doing this and then you go back to the corporate world and you say, you know what, this isn't for me anymore.
But the thing is do you know, and do you have that commitment and the drive, but the fire, that deep, deep fire, you know, like you better not screw around. You better get on it, you
Mhm.
know, and if you did screw around a little that day, you're going to have to subtract
Yeah.
something out of your day, and you
Yeah.
don't want that to your family, but you got to get back to it quick as you can and persevere. Like, so next time if we do a listing, we're just going to not talk as much like this, but we'll just like,
No, don't feel. To be honest, I turned on the camera, like I said, after about 3 hours. So I was already doing my packaging at the beginning. Of the show. So
let me let you finish because I know you're trying to get out the door.
yeah, I'm gonna head off here, to be honest. So I'm actually gonna be back on at 4. I'm talking to Ryan Galaxy. I always get the name of his show wrong. Galaxy Rocks CDs and
Oh yeah. I'll try to make it. I'm not sure if I'm running an errand or not yet.
No worries. But
I just wanted to say thank you for letting me come on, and thanks. I appreciated the dialogue. That's great. Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. So it gave me some cool things to think about and to think about.
Probably too much, but take what you can and glean from it.
Absolutely.
Have a good day, Mo.
Take it easy, man.
I'll catch you later. Bye.